This is the project for the 3D tree. Now, when you take your stuff out of the bag, you gotta be careful because you're gonna have this slip of paper, and the slip of paper can harbor some parts. So make sure that when you open this up, that there's no part stuck inside of it. We won't need this instruction sheet. We're gonna use the instruction sheet that I have for you online. Okay. I use a little plate to put all my parts on. Not a bad idea to do because then you won't lose them. And if you lose them, you're kind of stuck. So get all your parts together first, and then notice that there's two different halves. And if you look on the circuit board, there's one that says SHA, and then this one says SHB. Okay, we're going to start with the A. All right. All right, for this step, we're going to put in the transistors, and there are 6 of them between the two sides. So for side A, which is the one we'll start with here, we will just take 3 of them now. All these are the same, so there's no worry. So just pull all 6 of them out. What you do need to pay attention to, though, is the side that has the printing on it. When you look at it from above, you can see how this is the flat edge over here. So when you put these into the circuit board, you want to make sure that the flat is facing the same way as you notice the flat on the overlay that's on the circuit board. Okay, so you can just bend those leads off to the side a little bit to make it easier to put in. And this will not push down quite all the way. You're just going to push it down as far as it'll comfortably go, which is about like that. And then on the back side, what you want to do with the legs are just bend them a little bit, just so they don't fall out. But don't bend them all the way flat. Just bend them a little bit and put in all 3 of them. If you need to bend the legs, you can. I'm doing it without. Push them in. Just bend the legs just a touch. Okay, do that for all 3, and then we'll solder these suckers in place. Okay, pay attention though to that flat spot. Okay. All right, all 3 of those in, and then for soldering, if you think back, you want to get it set down there. I'm going to get my camera down a little bit further so you can see me do the soldering. I always tape my circuit board down, and you should too, because if you're trying to solder to a board that isn't secured, then it's just going to be moving around on you, and that's no good. So I'm just going to hold it down like that. Now remember, with your soldering iron, this is all hot up in here. Okay, so you don't want to touch that. You just want to hang on to it by the handle and make sure that your tip is clean. Okay, so wipe the tip off. Don't catch your fingers. You should have a wet sponge in there, and this is not dry. I've got it wet and I wrung it out, so it's damp right now, so I can wipe off my tip on it. Then you're going to need your solder, and you should have a roll of that. The green top does come off, so you can pop that off. It's kind of difficult, but then you can feed some solder through the top and pull out what you need. Okay. Remember, when you're soldering, try to keep a high angle on this, and the idea is you put just a touch on the tip, and then you touch the silver pad and the leg of the part there, and heat it up, and then add the solder in. Then you'll remove the solder, and then you'll remove the iron. Okay, so I'll put a little on the tip, wedge my soldering iron in there, feed the solder in, remove the solder, remove the iron. And you can do a few of the solder connections, whoops, before you wipe the tip again. Okay, so I did all 3 of those. And then what you're looking for is that the solder is just touching the pads and it's not crossing over between the two. If accidentally the solder, you get too much on there, if it goes between the two, take your tip and just kind of run it through there to try to break them apart. But try to control the amount of solder so that you don't use too much. Okay. If you'd like, you can continue soldering all 3 before you clip the legs off. That's what I'm going to do here. So wipe your tip. And I'm doing it from the sides, as you can see here. My soldering iron's on the side. I'm just going to wedge it in, feed the solder, remove the iron. You don't need a lot of solder, just enough to go around the pad and cover the lead, so you can see that. And then when you clip them off, you're going to clip them off right on the top of the connection. And just watch those clips so that they don't go anywhere. You, of course, should have your safety glasses on. And there you have those 3 in. Then you're going to jump to your next part, which is side B. Okay. Same thing. You can see where the transistors go. Orient them so the flat spots are going where they need to be. Same thing, bend them over a little. All right. Do a double check to make sure that you have them in so that the flat spots are facing the way that they should be. And go ahead and we'll flip it over. Tape this one down and solder those 6 in. Or sorry, solder those 3 in. Okay. And then we will clip off the tops of these. Okay. And there's that. So that takes care of soldering in the transistors on both of those 2 parts.